Come on. Why is it taking so long? Okay. Hey, everybody, how's it going? Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Uh, no intro tonight, unfortunately. Hang on, let me just come around here. They're not observing very well, Rogan. No intro tonight. Had computer issues. Ran late. Plus, I ran late getting in here. So I'm just going to chit chat with y'all. Get my usual intro done, and we can get started at 6:30. My name is Charlotte. I'm going to be your host for the next hour. I'm also the owner of the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team. We're based out of Sacramento, California. We are 41 people strong up and down the state of California. Soon to grow to almost 60 strong up and down the state of California. And what that means, California is this huge state. So what that means is if you have a paranormal problem, or a cryptid problem, or UFOs, or UAPs, whatever you want to call them, we can get to you. Sometimes it might take us a couple days. Like I said, it's a big state, when people think about California, they think of us like Hawaii. They think surfing and all this stuff and the California girl, yada, 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 yada. And it is like that. It really is. But there's also parts on the coast that are up north which aren't as warm, but they still surf. They wear wetsuits. They still surf. But anyway, that's just our West Coast. California has a little bit of everything. I'm not boasting, because Texas also has a little bit of everything. Texas has its own coast, and the people over on the East Coast. But we also have mountains. We have high desert. We have low desert. Lots of farm country. Lots of rural land with nothing on it. So that's why it might take us a couple days to get you, even though we have people, team members in the Fresno area and things like that. Because there's just so much open space out there for us to get through. But we will get you, and the majority of the time when we can't get out to you right away, we do have mediums on staff that can call you and talk to you about what may or may not be going on in your house or business. And in most cases, they can calm the energy down until we get out there and start doing our investigation. Windows and security. Okay. I got stuff popping up everywhere. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming. It's Friday, and tomorrow's Saturday. I'm looking forward to this weekend. The Sacramento, the Capital Air Show is here. I can't attend. Don't have a ticket. But luckily, the planes, we are in the area of where they fly over before they fly over the airbase. So I'll get to take some photos and stuff tomorrow of the Thunderbirds from my house. And I've been very successful doing that. I was out watching their practice this afternoon. If you're interested in de-stressing, I have a meditation club that I have put together, and we meditate on Sunday. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. We meditate on Sunday, Tuesdays, and Thursdays right now, and we do it at 2 different times because if anybody on the East Coast wants to meditate, I have a 3:30 p.m. Pacific time, which would be 6:30 p.m. your time, and I also have a 7:45 Pacific time, which of course is after my show here. But, meditation is a good way to calm down after a busy day. If you have something wrong with your health, sometimes meditating can help that. It helped me. My congestive heart failure, it really helped me, bring my heart back to a somewhat normal level. I'm not saying it did it by itself. I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying it helped me because it calmed me down. It got my mind working, in the right direction. So if meditation sounds like something you're interested in, including the fact that during these sessions, we're going to be doing health advice and looking at our worlds and stuff. I'm also going to be doing some card reads as well for people that sign up for this. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, feel free to head over to California Haunts Meetup and sign up over there. It's all over there. So you type in California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team Meetup, and you can find it under events. Okay. Also, if you're watching from Facebook today, and a lot of you are, and you like what you hear and see, please be free to follow if you haven't done so already. Plus, leaving happy faces, showing us some love and giving thumbs up for us and all that good stuff, and comments. That helps too, because what that does is that puts us up higher in the FYP. And what that means is that Facebook sees that and sends it out to more people. So more people come in, right? Because we're looking to build this thing up. We've been building this thing up for a long time now, and it's really, really going well with building. Same thing over at YouTube. If you haven't subscribed already and you like what you see and hear today, please do subscribe. There's over 762 videos sitting over at YouTube, all of this show. And it's confusing. It's like when you open up that first page, you're just like, wow. That's what I do. I go, wow. Okay. So what I've done is I've just about done putting these things under categories and folders. For example, if you want to go in and you want to go back and listen to some of Nancy's shows that she's done, there's a Nancy Matz folder over there. There's a UFO alien abduction folder. There's a cryptid folder. There's all kinds of stuff over there. Makes it a lot easier to find the past shows. So I hope you like that. Plus, I'm active on the community page over there as well. So, like I said, it doesn't cost anything to sign up, and you'll just be notified of our videos ahead of time, and all that good stuff. So please do that. All right, if you want to contact me or Nancy or any of the rest of us, there's ways to do that. We are California Haunts on Facebook, California Haunts Radio on Facebook. TikTok, we're California Haunts. Twitter, we're Cal Haunts. At Twitch, I think we're California Haunts. So that's the way to find us. And I'm also on Instagram under Ghosty Gal, and that's all lowercase. So that's another way you can contact me if you want to talk to me about things. Shoot the breeze, whatever. But that's the way to do that. Now, that being said, again, over at YouTube, it works the same, just like it works at TikTok. Happy faces, show us some love and whatnot, and comment if you're around the chat room here today. Go ahead and comment. Again, that puts us up higher on YouTube's FYP. And we're also looking for subscribers. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe over there. Hit that button. We're 302 away, or maybe less, to 1,000 subscribers. That's my goal. By Christmas time, I want to have 1,000 subscribers. That'd be a good Christmas present for me. So let's see. If you have friends in the house that haven't heard the show yet, and you're listening tonight, and you happen to like the show, bring them in. Show them what we're like. This is a good show to do it with. We got the best is coming on tonight with Nancy Matz. So do that. Because, like I said, we're looking for subscribers, and the more subscribers, the merrier. So I'm trying to set a goal. Maybe next week we can shoot for 10 new subscribers. We'll try and do 10 subscribers a week, right? Okay. All right. That being said, tonight we're going to be talking about how to know when your loved ones are contacting you from the other side. And there's a lot of stories out there. People talk about, I don't want to rant on what Nancy's research is and what Nancy knows. They say that coins and feathers and things like that. But in my experience, there's so many other ways. I've even done that here at my house, so I can tell when my mother's here, when my father's here, or even my deceased dogs, right? There's things you can look for and things how you can tell. So, okay, that being said, I'm going to shut up. We're bringing Nancy on and get this show on the road. And remember that, show me some love, you guys. Show me some love.
Well, I'm always laughing when Char says something at her house. She's got so many spirits. They all just show up. They all listen to me talk like a Southern. And so what we're kind of looking at, messages, presence, their presence being seen by you or felt by you. I talk to a lot of people, and we're in Discord. I talk to people. How many people call you and they're in a good mood and they just want a generalized reading? I says 1 out of 100. You don't call me if your life is wonderful. I just had a gal call me the other day. She says, "Oh, I'm a client." And I go, and she says, "Oh, 2 years ago." We agreed it was 2 years ago. And so it's not often, but she had family dynamics, and it made me realize the value of being able to talk to people like me, because a lot of times they want family acknowledgement. And acknowledgement and getting messages are kind of like two different areas of interest. So I'm getting my notes here. I typed up, too many pages. There is a lot of ways that we can receive guidance, and you don't even have to ask for it, because it's kind of like understanding, Mom, you passed away, give me some signs. Right. Just a couple weeks ago, I'll be telling you a story, and I don't want to divert, because it's real easy for me to tell a story and then try to get back on track. So I'm going to start at the beginning, and we're going to go through quite a few ways. Maybe some of them you've heard from and about. There's a couple I don't have a lot of reference. Because I've been in this business so long, I have a lot of stories. They're still on tape. I will be talking about them. Just today, I talked to a lady. I says, "Oh my gosh, you have so many wonderful things in your life. Can I talk about them at a later time?" And we will do that. So guidance from spirit family members. This is the area you talked about guidance in a familiar and a couple unfamiliar ways. A pre-agreed upon animal or symbol that the family member was very fond of, like in the movie one of my favorites. I was just telling somebody, you got to watch this movie, Dragonfly. So in the movie Dragonfly, the wife passes away. She's a doctor. And the husband is in the 2-story Victorian, beautiful, beautiful home. And he sees dragonflies and he sees them in the window. And then upstairs, he's cleaning out per the neighbor's suggestion, clean all her stuff out. And so he puts all the clothing in a box and he goes downstairs, goes back upstairs, everything's put back. And across the floor rolls, if I remember right, you can call me on this, I try to remember, was her crystal with the dragonfly in the middle of it. And so that was very obvious, yes, very obvious that she was representing the dragonfly. And in the movie, it comes up several times. At one point, the parrot that misses her also was yelling out dragonfly. And he goes downstairs, and in the mess that the bird created at the window was a big dragonfly. Now, remember, it's been years and years and years since I saw this movie. Don't get me in trouble, everybody, but go back and watch it. It's fabulous, fabulous for animal presentation. I've heard of people saying butterflies. I've seen just about almost anything, rainbows, absolute rainbows. So sometimes it's that also an animal. It could be a symbol in the clouds. It could be people have said they've seen angels in the cloud formations. Just almost everything. So we'll go on. After a loved one passes away, many times friends and family will ask if you had a dream of this individual. And the idea is if you had the dream, the individual has passed over. Well, what happens if you continually have dreams about this individual? And I've had several clients over the years say, oh my gosh, I talk to that person in my dream all the time. And now you wonder, how does that work? How does that actually happen? The trick is if you have someone intuitive in your world and they say, can you describe what I saw in my dream? If they can, then you know it was a real dream, because I have done that for clients. I'm not trying to get you to call me, but you can ask people, was I imagining this? And they say, well, did grandma have a plaid dress on? Oh my gosh, she had a plaid dress. Well, then it wasn't your imagination. I'm not positive I understand the physics of that, but there's so many things in the universe we can't explain, like dark matter. So I'm okay with a in-between place that people can go. I don't know how a spirit person can enter your brain, but I don't believe that we're making it up. And it did happen to me several times with my ex-father-in-law. When he died, he showed up, and I was absolutely flabbergasted. He had a velour bathrobe on. And I checked, my ex-husband checked with his mother, and he did not have that kind of bathrobe. Yet it was so strong, because it wouldn't be someone I would dream of. It wouldn't be. But he wanted just to say how grateful he was I was in his son's life. And unfortunately, he wasn't someone I would spend time with at all. Just like, oh no, wait a minute, you want to hug me? Whoa, whoa. And I've been feeling guilty ever since. So sometimes you have to take it with a grain of salt that this is such a true dream. And I can remember it just like it was yesterday. It was 15 years ago, probably. So dreams are very, very powerful, and they can give you a lot of symbolism. Sometimes a person, I don't know why the spirit people don't say, don't buy that car. As much as say, look at all the vehicles on the road. And you go, why? And then you have to think it through. Okay, so I actually have a couple people that write down questions before going to bed, and the spirit family member will come and give them symbolism. And you have to go to a place that, I took a class on symbolism. I don't know if it was from the Spirit of Grace or somebody, but they said, and I'll tell you, in your dream, whatever is the largest thing is you. So if you're in a plane taking a trip, that plane represents you going forward, you're going different places. It means travel. It could be all kinds of things, but you have to go to the emotion of it. And if your parent, grandparent, someone shows up in the plane with you, it's to give you comfort for the next move in your life or the next change. So you kind of have to interpret the dynamics of why they're there and how it's being presented to you. But remember, the largest thing usually is you. So if your car, or you're in a plane, or in the lobby of a big building, what's the big building represent? The totality of your life, going on the 3rd floor, 6th floor. What does that mean? So sometimes the emotions and how the spirit people show up, but you can't generalize it. There's so many books on dreams. symbolism. It's like being a tarot reader. Every time you look at a card, you have to feel what it means, not necessarily read the description of it, because you will be wrong. You have to have that gut feeling. I don't use a tarot card because people expect me to travel time for my answers. So there's a lot of people I really like who do use them, and they get a gut feeling, or the spirit will show up and say, "This is important. Think of this," and then the card will be pulled. I did mention this once before, and I enjoy these few stories I have, and of course I'll repeat until I start listening to old 20 years of tapes at least. A woman who lived in Fair Oaks, she would propose a question and ask her family people to give her an answer when she gets in the car, the first license plate that she can read. And she swore by this, and I go, whoa, you're going to depend our life or your choices on a license plate. And then she gave me some demonstrations of what kind of wording, and I said, can get dangerous. I wouldn't want my people. By the way, would you trust the license plate when you get in the car to leave here? Your answer is there. Whoa. But this really nice lady, and she was not, she's 40 or 50 years old. She's a young person. And she really trusts that because the answer was correct most of the time. She would do that. So who am I to say it won't work for you? Oh, hello, right? Spell the question, the answer. I do like people trusting the spirit people to give them a demonstration. So if something you're thinking about, worried about, and you go somewhere like a grocery store, and you see the reading newspaper at the rack, and it gives your answer to you, then that is divine guidance. Absolutely. If you go to a store and a magazine or a book falls off the shelf, you pick it up and your answer's there. That is divine guidance. So why should I not say a license plate couldn't be the same thing? And I have seen that happen in my own life where I watch a show and I was just clicking. You know how you do until you find something that can be on while you're typing. And it'll be a show that tells you the answer of what your problem is. We learn to trust the instincts, but it's also important to note sometimes when you don't try to find answers, the universe will give you that answer. And that's called the guidance from unseen world, the spirit people. You don't always know who it is. It could be old Uncle Joe who smoked the stogies that you didn't know, but he loved you before you were born, before he was born. I've heard so many stories of young kids saying, "I miss grandma so much," and the mom will say, "But she died before you were born." "Oh, I know. I was with her for a long time before I came here to you."
Wow.
In my own practice, at least 3 times in 33 years. That's what I can remember, and I will find some of those. So we'll have to make sure. Also, someone close to me, father passed away. It was very uncomfortable death, and they were very close, live in different states. And he was a man of money, and I love this. Anytime my friend needs him, he will give her dimes, not any dime, big, very shiny, brand new dimes. So last year on her birthday, it was a tough day. We all have tough days at the office. Emotional day. In fact, I think tomorrow is a birthday. Oh, how curious. I would think of that. Anyway, she went to the park locally, Roseville, and she opened the door feeling pretty down, missing her dad, missing life and whatever his thing. And she looked down, there was a shiny dime, almost brand new, but as shiny as possible. One time she told me she went in the closet to get some clothes and she was not also in a working world. You're going to have more days that you remember not being good than, oh, I had a wonderful day at the office. Right? And she opened the closet door and there were 3 dimes in her closet. And I says, "Didn't you drop them?" She says, "No, I'm not one to drop money." 3 shiny dimes. And I bet you if you ask around, that happens a lot. Now, why not quarters? $500 bill. If you're going to manifest, honey, make it bigger than a dime. But maybe dimes are something they can manifest easily. Why not? Why not? Just because it doesn't happen to me.
Actually, I think they are because there's a lot of stories of them leaving pennies around. They have that whole legend from pennies from heaven. I've worked with investigators that have said that they've gone to a house and found a trail of pennies when no one's there. They're taking a picture of the
I
table,
love
left,
that.
came back, and there's a trail of pennies there. So it does happen.
It does happen, and people do speak of that
Hmm.
because if it happens to me, I'm not paying attention. Except just recently, I found some pennies, and that would be my mom pennies. But I don't remember why they were there. I remember thinking, oh, there's some pennies here. Wonder what that's about.
Hmm.
I'm not one to leave change around. Is my husband? Not really. So sometimes we miss it, and then they have to make sure we know again, right? So anyway,
Hmm.
so the shiny dimes, and I talked to her, and she had forgotten. I brought it up. She goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I would not remember that." This is one that I just added quickly. Um, Automatic writing. They
Oh,
actually
yeah.
had some people who do automatic writing. They'll be in a soft place in their life. And when I was teaching this, it was hands down, Nancy, excuse me, is like when we do automatic writing, you can sit and you can just doodle, 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 doodle. Sometimes when you're not concentrating, it's the best way to get your answers because in doodling, and people don't realize that when I'm talking to somebody, sometimes I'll just doodle, and I should look at my doodles more often. When I have a client, trying to think of just for today, all I do is a map. Whoops. I do a map like that, just first name of what people called, so I know who I'm talking to. But at the bottom, which you can't, which I should have held up faster, or just words. Sometimes I'll just put a word, just words or doodle, and sometimes the answer is in there. So I would encourage people to doodle, and I will forgive you for not doing it with your arm. Spirit people like control of the hand or the arm, but I have found over time that if you just be relaxed, don't move from the elbow or the wrist, move from the shoulder, and just do circles. That's automatic writing, but automatic doodling is also a way, and that way you're just doing your hand because
Now,
you're not in control. If you're not in control, they can control
right.
just that. Yeah, go ahead,
When
Char.
I've done this out in the field with different mediums, a lot of the times they'll also use, if they're right-handed, they'll use their left hand.
Um, that can work. I've now, okay, so I did tell this story once. It's a long time ago during one of these classes, and the Spirit of Grace, Universal Christ of the Master, Spirit of Grace in Citrus Heights, California. I spent 15 years there, Friday nights. There was about some months in the middle when I was involved with life and didn't, but I went back and, um, so one of the classes I was involved with was drawing portraits, and that's something I can do. I would like to get back into it because then I could draw more spirit people. But I was more or less successful at it, and the client sat down with me, and she was one of the regulars at the church. Her name was Nancy, and she was 15, 20 years older than I was at the time. She did pass away, unfortunately, but I really liked her. And I said, well, let's see who's here. And I started drawing, had a tough time. It was like, it was tough time drawing this lady. She was a senior lady. I don't know
Uh-huh.
if she was a grandmother or an aunt, but she was quite strong looking. Um, the woman had lost weight and her nose was strong face. And the minute I put that nose on there, she just, oh my God. And I says, what? She says, I know why you're having such a hard time. She had a stroke, but she was also left handed. So she's trying to draw her portrait through your arm. You're right handed. And you can't, you should use your left hand. It was the first time I ever thought of that. It just get used over time using one hand versus the other. But I do believe in doodling when you're doing an investigation, doodling would work too. Not necessarily drawing the people, but I think that spirit people around you. And that was another question. When you do an investigation, do you really want them to control your hand? Do you really want them to control your mind and memory, um, and make it think like you're talking to a spirit family member? I'm not sure. When I'm doing an investigation remotely, I don't want them to dip into me too deep because then you're on the brink of possession or attachment issues.
Right.
Life's hard enough. Life's hard enough without trying to get rid of attachment. Shar called me up. Am I okay? I go, yeah. So that was an interesting tidbit. Another area that happens a lot is electronics.
Mhm.
And I'm going to go back years and years. I would say 12, 13 years. I was talking to someone very close to me, and she lived in Granite Bay, and she was walking around the house as we do, because I like talking when I'm busy and it makes things go fast. And she was just really grieving her father. And she says, "Is he around me?" And she had, when I was talking to her, she was in the bedroom and she was kind of laying out the bed sheet, making a bed neat, look at neat. And I says, "Well, he's right next to you." And the minute she stepped out of that room, the alarm went off on the clock. Now, this is a bedroom that a friend had stayed in, but no one had set the alarm. It was a clock that not people had used. And at the
Mhm.
time, I did ask her, was it even plugged in? She says, "I think it was plugged in, but I don't even know what the time was." So he had set the alarm to go off. And the minute I said, "Well, he's right next to you." The minute she stepped out of the room, the alarm went off. And it was very jarring, but then we turned it around and went, she hadn't heard that alarm go off in the middle of the day before.
Mhm.
So he created that to be that way. Lights in the room. Okay, lights in the room. Is there a street lamp or is there a car going by? They can create lights in the room. I spoke of Jan and Marge before, Fran and Marge before. And these were people I felt like had never been born before, but they also promoted the idea because they couldn't have a perception of a past life. So when Fran was in the process of dying, I don't think she died at home, but the process of dying, she kept seeing flickering of lights. We would call them fairy lights now because of little tiny bulbs that you can hang in your room. She was always seeing these. And at times she would see orbs. And now Marge could see the orb, but you couldn't see the fairy lights. And Marge's
Mhm.
eyesight wasn't that bad. And I feel like she had a whole colony of people visiting her all the time. Fran was very excited. She was always reaching up to them and trying to touch them, and they would float around the room and go above her bed. And
Mhm.
tell you the truth, I have no idea what they were. If they were electronics in some way, electrical intervention from room to room. I've heard of light surges in a house, remote, we do investigations, and Char's always saying to me, "Well, let's check the electrical, let's check the plumb, let's check the noise in the house or the light fixtures and see if something's going on." But Fran was a good example of spirit connecting. And I think it's a way of communication to alleviate the fear of dying. She did not have fear, but she was very excited about all these sparkles all the time. Fairy light size, I would call them.
We did an investigation in Roseville quite a few years back. In fact, it was probably about 16 years the last time. And it was this woman's bedroom. And I was standing in front of the light switch. It was one of those touch switches.
Hmm. Hmm.
But we were in this woman's bedroom, and the light was turning on and off by itself. But it was doing it in answer to our questions.
I
It was
like that.
slick. You know,
It
the
was very
overhead light in
slick.
the bed. And the
Kind
other
of wonder
kicker
how they
part of
do
it
it.
is, I don't know. And the other kicker for the other kick in the pants with it was that it wasn't her husband that was communicating with us; it was someone else because he would only answer when we asked questions in Spanish. Go figure
Uh,
that
were
one.
they, are they Spanish speaking people?
No,
Oh, hmm.
it's all related to what the history of the property. But I mean, it's interesting because the lights start flickering. Of course, I'm standing next to the light, and they're all looking at me like I'm doing it. But it's not.
Yeah.
In fact, it
You go,
wasn't a touch kind
woohoo,
of
not
light.
me.
It was a dimmer. Yeah, it was a dimmer. And we had the light on full so we could see what we were doing in there. And then all of a sudden it starts turning on and off by itself, and it was a direct answer to questions. Then we ended up getting EVPs that correlated with it as well. It's kind of cool stuff.
I don't know how they do that, but I have heard of that. And of course, the TV shows, lights go on and off in the house, and there's flickering. The overhead lights would go on and off a lot, and you see that in the movies. But I do feel like it does happen. Did you see
Oh,
that?
I did.
Did
They're telling you. I was just thinking of the Murphy's Hotel, and I in this one room where this lady claimed she saw, what the cleaning ladies say, claimed she saw men playing poker in that room. So I thought it'd be fun to go in there, poker chips, and we were playing blackjack. And sure enough, every time the ghost would win, the lights would flicker.
So everybody, did you just see the, as I said, the overhead lights would flicker, and mine
Yeah,
did?
that's cool. Yeah,
Mom, is that you?
they're
Do it
letting you
again if
know.
it's you, Mom.
I get
Okay,
that all
she
the
did.
time in my. I get that all the time in my kitchen. It's my dad. It's right
Oh,
over the spot where he used to sit. It's my dad doing it. You know.
my lights don't do that. They're on, they're on, they're
Yep,
off,
there
they're
we
off.
go. I think I just saw him do it again. That
Did
one
it,
was like
did
in the
it,
hall over there against the wall. Yeah, I could see the thing on the wall. Yeah.
did it do it again and I missed it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Is there a hallway behind that door?
yeah, just a very small hallway.
Because that's where I saw the light go on and off real fast.
Oh no, these
Just
are the
now.
ones I'm talking about. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
could
saw
see.
yours and I saw the one behind there too.
There's no
Oh,
light
you got
behind me,
okay. So it must be that light that's reflecting off on that thing. Yeah, but I saw it. It's
above
definitely
me.
one.
The
Yeah.
wall behind me goes into a bedroom, and then a little bit further is the TV room where Larry is. So
Mhm.
it's hard to see that. This is a friend. I haven't talked to you about this lady. She was dying, and I'm not going to say her name. I don't think Karen would mind because she is deceased. Her daughter locally did talk to me. This is a long story, but this was in early 2000s. And she tried, she'd comment to me, she had cancer off and on, and she was pretty young, like in her 50s. And she would say to me, I did die. I go, good. She says, well, they had cancer again. And they don't want me, and I'm tired. And so she called me up and she said, guess what? I'm going to die. I go, really? Is this what you, she, oh yeah, I'm ready. I just want to get out of my body. And so she did. And someone, um, God, it didn't get, anyway, there was business in Old Roseville. So someone called me and said, well, she did pass away. Within a couple of days, I got a call. And in those years, we did answer the phone. And the other end, I was hearing someone talk to me, "Mom, I'm here, I'm fine." And that's all I could hear. And I says, Karen, is that you? And oh yeah. And I went, and it went on for a few minutes. And I just really tried to, I said, well, I'll call the person back. So we hung up. I don't know if she did or I did. I looked at it and it was all zeros going across my caller ID.
Ooh, phone call from the
There was,
dead.
I was talking to the dead, and I never, I knew of people who had that happen, and this has only happened one time. The
Mhm.
downside to that, it wasn't clear. It was like
Mhm.
far away, and she was yelling at me. Can you hear me? And but when I checked, it was all zeros, and I did try to find out how that happens. And I called I'm old telephone company people. I called somebody I could trust to give me an answer, and they said that's not possible. So
Mhm.
I realized it was Karen, and
Mhm.
yeah, it happens to me too. And I'm in the business, and you'd think all this stuff would happen more often. I'm here to help service others, not myself. um, Okay, this is I bring this up a couple of times. Fairly common. People will say that they'll think of somebody, and a mutual song will come on the radio. This has happened to me a couple of times, but it seems to be something that happens more regularly with my clients, which is kind of surprising. They'll just turn the radio on, and something will come up, or they'll be thinking of something, and someone else will have a radio. Someone was that right? I think it was like someone come up to intersection and someone had a car next to them had a radio on and they heard a song. And there's
Mhm.
so many artists nowadays. I don't know most of the artists. I'm old school. So someone in the car next to me would have to be of my age to have 60s, 70s music on. you know. Um, I do like movies. Um, I don't watch a lot I don't watch as much. I don't pay attention to TV. I'm kind of like into the ancient alien stuff, all the history of the travel stations. So once in a while, I'll get into a movie. And one of the ones I think this was 2009, and a client had called me up and they were talking about this great big tip they receive. What tipping is more important now because people don't have good wages, and the tip
Mhm.
industry. I don't know if it's an industry, but it's like 13 to 15%. I go out with my family. I said, tell me the tip and I'll give it. I just don't even know what it is. But after that person hung up, I said, that person's really excited about getting a tip. I thought, should I be getting a tip? It's a service. I thought, yeah, but that's crazy. Made me think, just made me think. And all these years, I think I've gotten 2 tips, which I'm very grateful for. I wasn't ever expecting it. And that's really nice. So I told my husband, well, I have to do some errands. And I got in the car. It was within a half hour, well, a short time. And I got in the car and I turned the radio on, and it was just one of those stations you listen to. And the song was Barbara Streisand, On a Clear Day You Can See Forever. And I was so shocked because it was the guy singing about um, never forget who you are. And I realized it was more to the sentence of being grateful, be who you are, and all that. And then all of a sudden it occurred to me that even though I do have to charge, I am working, but I would not have gotten to this if I hadn't pledged myself to God. That
Mm-hmm.
my pledge to the universe was, please allow me to live and I'll work for the rest of my life. And I was in my car, and the car actually shook like that. And that was a Monday, May 4th, 1990. I was directed to go to Spirit of Grace. It's not a long story, but it's an amazing story of guidance, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, from the universe. And so, that song really meant a lot to me. It was an amazing moment. Oh, this is where I'm talking about what happened to me just this month. So I have 2 sisters, one in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and one in um, north northwest part of Seattle, not the lakes, just on the coastline. Anyway, so I called her up. Her name is Pam, and we'll get in these philosophical talks, and we'll reminisce about mom. Mom died in '09, and of course I've had lots of visitations with her. Some of it really outstanding. My husband and I were driving one day. She put her head between us, and we almost drove off the road because I screamed. I went, "Mom, what are you doing?" She just popped in, "Hi." Just and one time I was in Sierra Vista giving a lecture, and she showed up on stage. I've told people this. She looked like she was 25 or 30, and she had the hair almost black, but not darkest brown possible. Eyes like mine, very big, very black eyes. She had the English body. She wasn't built like my grandmother, who was more Indian. She was a petite woman, but she had the blackest eyelashes, eyebrows, and hair. And she was on stage with her eyelashes just opening and closing, just gorgeous. And I remember mom telling me that when Bruce, my father, met her, that's all he could think about was how pretty she was, that darkness, because he was a blue-eyed blonde Nordic Swedish line.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, so uh, we reminisce, and we were talking about mom, and she had asked me, have you heard from mom lately? And my life has been busy. I've only been in this new house well, 8 or 9 weeks now. And I thought, oh my gosh, no, I haven't heard from her recently. And when the conversation went on, and I was in the car driving, headed to my children's, there's a birthday in the family. And so we hung up. And in our area, there's a station called PBS. And it's kind of like it's Channel 6. PBS is when you have people on, they interview them. It's very low key. Folk music is played. And on TV, they'll have all kinds of fundraisers and show. I don't know other shows. I don't get it up here where I'm at,
Public
but
broadcasting. I don't watch it all the time.
public
Sometimes, I don't have it on my TV anymore, but
public
public
broadcasting. That
public
yeah.
broadcasting, yeah. A
And
lot
so
of
they do a
Sesame
lot
Street,
of. Sorry, sweetie. Finish your
Sesame
sentence.
Street, Sesame Street. California's
Yeah.
Gold used to be on there. The local travel stories, things like that.
Right. And sometimes it's local people.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's a fundraising kind of event. Well,
Yeah.
anyway, the day I turned it on, which was only like 3 weeks ago, I turned it on. This woman was interviewing a gentleman who wrote his own music, and he was kind of like on the verge of being folk, maybe some bluegrass kind of thing. He had a guitar, and he was talking about how he was missing his mother, and he had written a song dedicating it to her and how she influenced him. And he started singing it, and I realized, oh my God, he's talking about missing his mother. And he actually wrote a song, and it was on the few seconds after my hanging up for my sister. I just turned it on, And I think it's 91.7 or 97.1 in my northern area of Oroville. I don't know if it comes out Sacramento. I went back online. I could not find the gentleman because I would buy that song. I called my sister up after visiting my sister. I came home, my daughter and her family. Coming back, I had touched base with my sister, and I said, I can't believe that mom had me wait just long enough for me to turn the radio on to hear a man talk about how he's missing his mother, that she understood that. I was like, oops, excuse me, I get choked up here because we do miss our parents. And I have discovered that the longer it's been, somehow we miss them more. She was a very easy woman to be around, very calmly and gentle voice and everything like that. We've talked and hello. My sister said to me one day, Pamela, you're starting to sound like mom. I go, I think I always have, but it's never been noticed. And I think we get to a place where we miss just picking up the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And she died of the results of osteoporosis, everybody. So that's kind of hard. I hope everybody takes care of their bones. So anyway, that was just recently that happened, where it's interesting we're talking about it. So I have a friend who has a friend who raises dogs. And about 3 days ago, they had done an event. They got back, and Mel found out that when she was gone, that one of her dogs had died. And this old girl was just a very strong, bossy, I'm in charge kind of a dog, and they're bulldogs.
Mm-hmm.
And they got back, and the woman had told her because they were gone for 5 days. And the reason is that if you're on a trip, you're showing dogs and everything's great, you're 16 hours away, the last thing you really want to know is a dog died, do I come home? It would ruin your trip. So they did tell her on the way home after she got home.
Mm-hmm.
And so yesterday, Mel called her and said, the strangest thing has happened. And what was it? And she said between 50 and 75 pigeons had all landed in her yard. And she had had eyewitness there who had said they had never seen pigeons in the neighborhood or that part of town.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know where it is, but it's on the way to Napa. Pigeons aren't in that part of the world. And it's like in the movie Dragonflies. Why are those pigeons there? Well, they're homing pigeons. And they're pigeons that bring peace and comfort to people. And then the friend asked me, he said, can they manipulate animals? And I thought, yeah. We talk about butterflies landing on people's shoulders and things like that happen. We were just talking about it earlier. Absolutely. And if you can envision this bulldog barking at a bunch of pigeons in the sky and rounding them up, absolutely. Those little bulldogs are little, it's feisty, but they'd never seen pigeons, and they all landed in this lady's yard in Mel's house, Melanie. So I love that. I hope she's going to listen to this and know that I think very highly of this situation, and that these pigeons were directed to come and give her peace. Now, the other thought would be, as their own father, if the parents are in spirit, they might have brought those pigeons to comfort her in her grief, because it had only been the day before that she had found out her dog had passed away. Another area, and I'm going to try to keep going here. Got a few pages left. How many of you had the sense that maybe your parents are around you and you ask for guidance? So you do it in life, and all of a sudden you're going to do something and you go, whoa, wait a minute. Why can't I do that? What's giving me that nudge, that feeling, that fear? And I really do believe in this. As someone said, remember the caveman? I've said this over, and someone just repeated what I tell people. Caveman days were all very intuitive. I think everybody on the planet has some ability. The ability's there to turn on the switch and make it a fast switch and make it move. There's some development that has to be done there. Some of us are just born with this condition and learning to control it and not be injured by it. Char and I have talked about people being in bad mood and surrounding us with their energy. And sometimes it's very, very difficult for us to stay sane and grounded when a lot of people, I don't know who's thinking of me. My husband said to me one day, oh boy, you're going to get a call, someone's got you. and he'll say, you just look depressed. I go, pulls me down. And so happiness will do that. Stress can do that. Spirit people can do that. And so spirit people will say, don't do this. Don't. And this has happened a lot to me. You'll get a sense you shouldn't go, or you shouldn't call, or you should do something, and the intention is so strong you can't deny this. So I want to share a story, and I've told this before. This was an event that happened to me that you need to pay attention. And I unfortunately post this on my website. I talked about it, and I got a letter from somebody's sister that was killed. And listen, I'll tell the story first. So my sister comes to town. She's in the Bay Area. She says, I want to go to a fabric store. And we lived in Citrus Heights. We drove all the way down to Fruit Ridge and Broadway or someplace, Fruit Ridge Boulevard, across from the old airport. And next door was Farrell's Ice Cream Parlor. And I was pregnant with my son, and my daughter was 3. It was September of 1972. And we got in there, and it was a darling little shop. And on my right, I can even see them today, there was picnic tables. And there was a birthday party going on. There was like 25, 30 people sitting there. And they were just having a wonderful time with all the little kids. To my left was a cash register, and there was 2 people, one very tall, thin little boy, young man, and the petite little girl with a ponytail, the blonde ponytail look. And I sat down, and where the cash register was, if you went straight, there was a wall there, and we were offset from the corner. And it was the only one available. So we sat there, and it was fun because we could see the kids in the birthday party. So we sat there, we ordered. I don't remember what it was. I'm not into ice cream, but my daughter, of course, would be. She's 3. My sister loved ice cream. And we sat down, and this wave of anticipant came over me, and it made me kind of sweaty, and it gave me a real heavy feeling in my chest, and I felt dread. Now, remember, I was only 24, and I had been this way my life, but I hadn't had anything so profound. It actually scared me. And I looked at my sister, and I says, I have to leave. Something's wrong. And of course, I'm going to think of my husband at home. He was always working on cars. And the first thing I thought of was the car fell on him. That was what occurred to me, not knowing what I was feeling. I felt some kind of disaster. And she goes, I'm not ready to go. I says, I am. We have to leave. And of course, my daughter was 3, and I picked her up. She'd only had a couple bites of ice cream. I paid and left. And I'll never forget the 2 kids at the counter. So we got out of the Farrell's Ice Cream Parlor and came out and made a left, and then took a right turn on Fruit Ridge, headed to the freeway. Well, in those years, I was driving Volkswagen, of course, of course. And my 3-year-old was standing up in the back seat. Of course, that's not right, but that's what we did in those days. And traffic was not like it is now. And all of a sudden, I heard a screaming, yelling, but cheerfully, oh, mama, blah, 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 like a little 3-year-old would talk. And I went, what's going on? And I looked in my mirror, and I turned around, and the round window in the Volkswagen, it was just a little window. The whole thing was covered in black. It was a vision of a black cloud. And I was on the freeway, and I turned the radio on, and an antique plane had taken off from the airport on the runway facing Farrell's Ice Cream Parlor, and it couldn't lift, and went through the fence right into the ice cream parlor and killed 22 people that day. And I would have been in the way. And the girl that wrote me a letter, she was very distraught. And all those years ago, it'd be nice to, maybe I would like to hear from her. She's right. Because I wrote her back, and I told her, I says, how would I have known? And if I had said, I have a sense of dread to all those people, would you have even listened? Of course, she wouldn't have, because she was a child. But I had no idea. But I trusted that. And that's what I'm saying to you. Maybe there's someone listening that, oh no, I have a feeling I shouldn't take that trip. Trust it. There are people who didn't get on the plane on 9/11 and those stories you hear about people who didn't go to work that day, right? Or made dental appointments for 8:00. A lot more people could have got killed if the number that got killed in those 2 events. Shar, do you remember 3,200, 36 something? And I can't remember exactly. Look it up, somebody. Was half of what it could have been. because people weren't going to work, which was amazing. Of course, it could have started at 9 o'clock too. I think the bombings happened before 9 o'clock, but it was an amazing number. So I tell people that because that really did happen to me. And of course, when I got home, I told my husband, "Oh, we were in." He got mad at me. He says, "What are you doing all the way down there?" Of course, the first thing to do would be upset, right? And I said, "Bonnie wanted ice cream. She wanted a clothing store that was next, not clothing, a fabric store next door to Farrell's." And then we walked next door. So it was his reaction was, "Don't do that. Don't go somewhere where you don't tell me what could have done, you know." Um, in those years, we did not have cell phones. There was no such thing. So that was taught. Okay. Um, and I would let the family know when you speak of family members that have deceased, let them know you're open to guidance, that you are trusting them to know to keep you safe. And I really do believe that. I've heard of people taking hikes and being told don't walk that day or don't take that trail. This happened
Right.
recently. And it's like they just had this gut feeling. Now, what does that mean? You missed out on the best part of your walk? Or was it good? I'm glad you paid attention because you would have tripped on a rock or there was an animal on the road. I
Mm-hmm.
remember when I was doing long distance running, one time I remember running and having that uncomfortable feeling. So there was a rattlesnake coiled up on the path. Luckily, I jumped over it. But what if he had been warmed up and saw me coming? He could have bit me. And I used to run long distances. It would have been really disastrous. Make them aware that you want them to let you know. And that's hard because how do you know it's your imagination or not? When you do that, say, touch me, because they will touch you. But you have to practice everybody. You have to be aware the spirit kind is out there. They're just human beings without the burden of the flesh. And invite them in your life. But don't invite anybody and say things like, my uncle felt like this, smelt like this. Grandma always wore the powder. In my generation, it was very common for women to wear after bath powder and Gina Tay as some of
Yeah.
those powders. I tell people, I don't know how I can breathe. I have allergies, not terrible like used to, but better. But I'll put smelly smoke soap on, lotions, everything has a smell. And then I'll put powder on because it's my routine, right? And you think, gosh, all that hairspray and smells. But when I hug my grandchildren, I can hear them smelling. So we get used to that. And so
Mm-hmm.
remember what they smelled like or how they felt and have them give you a hug. Don't just invite anybody that shows up in your world because there's such a thing as transitory spirits. There are spirits in your neighborhood and spirits who are not lost, but they just enjoy being snoopy, or spirits who are looking for attention, or spirits that say, I want to be recognized, I want to be acknowledged, and they'll do anything that you ask. Would you let me know if I get in trouble? And they'll accommodate you. If you say, geez, I'd like to talk to Marilyn Monroe, they will act like Marilyn Monroe. You have to have proof. So if you ask certain people to be there for you, make sure you know it's them. I'm very careful about that. With that,
2009, 2,996 people died. That's including the hijackers.
2,900.
2,996.
So it was almost 3,000.
Almost 3,000, yeah.
This has happened to me, but remember, I'm in this business. But I think I heard Shar tell me once, you're doing your life, and all of a sudden you hear your name being shouted out.
Yeah.
You look around, you think you heard your name. Now, I've never lived in a tight complex type of thing, but I've had it in my house, and it sounds, I think, like my mom. But I don't always know if it's a warning or, hey, I'm around, pay attention to me. Like Nancy, go, what? If they're going to call your name, maybe tie it to something important because it can drive you kind of loony. I'm imagine everybody had thought, well, I think I heard my name that day. Yeah, you probably did. Why? That I'd like to know some stories. When it happens, well, I do have a note here. When it happens, does the phone ring afterward? Like, are you going to get your attention? By the way, your mail's, I ordered some dishes and I didn't hear the doorbell, but it'd been nice if someone had yelled, "Hey, Nancy, get the door." You know, it was like, "Oh, your dishes are outside. Go get them." I got some
Mhm.
fall Christmas red.
Cool.
I like that. Oh, I know it. Bright red for Christmas. Well, they're not bright red, but I like the holiday stuff. Anyway, call her and then say to people, if I've missed out or I should know or be prepared, why don't you call my name out? Make it a reason and don't tell any, just don't say your name because any spirit will then think, oh, I'll have fun here. Just say, Mom, call my name out and they will hear that. Or the mail will come. Like me, I missed my package today for a good hour or more. Um, oh, the person I'm talking about, she don't depend on it always. She kind of hinted that she does depend on them, and I thought, "Ugh, I'd rather not depend on them because they're not always going to be around." Someone said to me once, "Well, how come that person not visiting me?" Oh, that was a few days ago. I'll mention that. I don't know if I did. And the friend said, "I've just been at the Grand Canyon." And the woman said, "Oh, what's that mean? Grand Canyon?" I says, "I don't know, but you'll find out." So I went to talk to her friend because they were splitting an hour. All of a sudden, I heard their friend yell in the background, "Oh my God!" I said, "What? What?" She says, "Well, her best friend just came back from the Grand Canyon a week ago."
Hmm.
And I went, "Well, I can't read her mind, so I must not be insane, crazy." But the spirit person wanted her to know, well, I have a life over here. I'm visiting my best friend and helping her with her kids. So sometimes they're not always around to give you that guidance. So you have to live your own life sometimes. Guidance can also be unexpected, like a book falling off the shelf at the grocery store. I think I mentioned that a few minutes ago. But sometimes you might be watching a TV show and someone come give you an answer. I think I mentioned this earlier, didn't I? And that has happened to people a lot to me. I've seen it in movies. They'll pick up a book or something, open it up, and it'll be a message there. I think that's very possible. It's almost like they know that you. It's like me turn the radio on when after I talked to my sister, and PBS was interviewing this individual who had written a song about missing his mother. Anybody in the audience listening to this had heard that gentleman? I would really like to know who it was. I'm really tried to find him and couldn't. Um, Very pleasant individual. He really missed his mother. I thought was very men don't often write like that, like missing
Mhm.
his mother. I've been told about readings when I can smell a grandmother perfume or the smell of a cigar. I mentioned this earlier about the scent of a parent.
Mhm.
Um, Comfort knowing someone is present. Often, when this happens, is a time of disharmony in your life, and spirits are wanting to bring you love.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I was speaking the last week or the week before about how we vibrate in our energy fields. From
Mhm.
spirit side, they can see us energy wise also, like I can them. And if you're in disharmony or you send out the vibe or you think of them, I'm in despondency, they will pick that up and they will come around. And then, of course, when we're despondent, I haven't called out to my mother about anything. Maybe that's why she's not been around so much.
Mhm.
Does it mean someone else in the family needs her? Or is it that we sometimes will have to live our life on our own? And I do believe that's also very important. I've told people over and over, I don't mind giving you guidance, but don't ask me every step because then you are taking your free will and handing it over to me. But spirit people will give you love and comfort. I had a lady ask me once, why don't you talk to my guides and ask them what I'm supposed to do? I says, do you understand that if I do, I have to take that information, interpret into my language to tell you. So you're giving over your power to your spirit family. Why don't you take control of your life and you make the decision? Oh, I don't want to make the wrong one. How can you make the wrong one? And I see something happening for you a year ago. I just told you.
Mhm.
And in my world, we cannot make a mistake. And you'll say, that was a terrible mistake. I said, what did you learn from it? Blah, 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 blah. Okay. And I already told you, my friend Donna said to me once when I mentioned something about dating, I said, if I'd known my mistake would have been that bad, I wouldn't have made it. She said, I'd rather you make a bad mistake or none at
Right.
all. versus none at all, because only through strife will your spirit grow. Only through not mistakes, but only through living will you grow as an individual. So if you turn your power over to somebody and you just take directions, how are you growing? How are you struggling to make a choice? Choice, making your choices for your life, is our greatest
Mhm.
gift. Whatever free will we think we have, to the end result, I can already see. That's what the magic is. I can see an outcome, but how you get there is sometimes your journey, not mine. One thing I like, and I've noticed a lot in my life, and this is common. People talk to me a lot about this. I have a thing about looking at my clock, and it's 11:11, 7:7, and I don't gamble. This is not roulette or what is that, dice or slot
Mhm.
machine? Nothing, nothing. But I will oftentimes see the same thing repeatedly on the clock or a sign or something, and I don't think it's anything but, well, I can't answer, because if I was a tarot reader or a numerologist, they would say 11:11 is new beginning. Maybe so. I don't know. But I'm also one that notices words. Um, I'm a word freak. I like to read. And
Mhm.
sometimes I'll be going through something and I'll see the word forgive or surrender. It's very powerful to me. I have many cups that say trust, truth, forever, surrender, forgive, whatever, because I just think those are powerful words in our life. I don't have to forgive anybody or surrender to anything, but just the word surrender means trust in the universe, trust in God. He, she, the diva, she who rules all, whatever you want to call it. There is a plan, there is a divine, there is a pattern of life. There's something we set up and choose for ourselves. And sometimes surrendering to that and allowing is our greatest gift. And words will show up in my world when I'm not asking for it, reminding me that I chose this. This is not easy. 33 years of doing this. And people go, oh, it's fun. You do this and you just talk. No, I don't. I give my life away every time I do this. And the pleasure of meeting someone new. Oh, I found something. This is something I also live by, and I meant to pull it out. Every time I bring up, I'm going to bring something up. It's weeks before I find it, and I did find this, and I put it out, and of course, I lost it here. Well, here we go. Um, I love this. This is a card I bought at East West Bookstore, and then I bought the poster of it, which is real big. But the card is, excuse me, entrance to another soul is always a sacred honor. And I'm just going to hold it up. It's can you everybody see that? I don't know if can you read that, Shar? Entrance to another
Yeah.
soul is always a sacred honor.
I see
I
it right
take
there. I
this
see it.
very,
Yeah.
it's beautiful, isn't it? And it's a card you can send out to somebody. I bought the big poster of it because
Mhm.
it's such an honor for me to talk to somebody and give them guidance. And I've been doing this a long time, but it's like living on the edge of a cliff because you kids always expect me to be right. And
Mhm.
with that right comes the guidance from our spirit family, and you have to trust that. Here's the last one. Is it the last one? Almost. Um, we were talking about dimes earlier. I don't lose the things a lot, but there have times when I go, doggone it, where are those darn keys? And I have a bowl that they go in right as you enter the house, and they're gone. And I go, where are they? And then I'll find them somewhere else. It's almost like, what is wrong with these people? They keep moving things. I've heard this over and over, and I've seen this in my own life. Now, I have to admit, most people aren't aware, Shar is, I am, because we're in this business, that we don't live alone in our homes. The last
Mhm.
house we had spirit there, and in this house we do too. And it's not them because it's happened to everywhere I live. Things will pick up and move across the room, across the. And I go, Mom, is that you? Who's doing this to me? And it's too consistent. When that happens, acknowledge the joke. Oh, thank you. Why don't you bring it back? Because I'm ready to go now. And it's not big things, it's little things, you know. So I don't know. Apports, they call it. Is that right? It is apports. Apports, they move things from one space to another. Um, but with this, I give the caution. This isn't always, not always them. For me, it
Mm-hmm.
is the same person because it's every house I live in. I believe we have spirit around us all the time. And
Mm-hmm.
some of them are, and I remember telling you earlier, a transitory ghost is someone who just travels a lot. They feel, they find a house where, oh, they're really sensitive to me. Oh, I'm going to be acknowledged. I'll have fun with them. That's not what I'm talking about. You have to be aware. If you have the sense that this is not family or it's a ghost that wants to be acknowledged or mischievous, with kindness say, I know it's not family, whoever this is. I don't want to share my house with you. Go on, go somewhere else. I know you're here and I acknowledge you. So go away because I have my own family. Just let them know gently. Okay. And then the last thing is important because I want to bring it up is and this we did talk about this very quickly, spirit animals. I have seen more. I love kitties, dogs, babies. So you know, so Facebook, my links are all those kinds of things, and once in a while we'll see a good indicator of a spirit of an animal in the house. That's really comforting because they all know to come around you. I think Shar, you talked about this, seeing your
Yes,
animals, and it's
all the
not
time.
like, and they've been gone for a long time, but they will have a sense of you. Really, they have no reason to come. Do they have a sense of loss or that you miss them? But if you're grieving them, they will pick up on that and come to you. I absolutely, and that's one reason I end with this because how many people in America have pets? We
Mm-hmm.
have children, yes, but we're very attached to our animals. Just ask me about these silly cats I have, right? And they were a rescue twins. And the lady said, I know you're looking for a different kind of pet. We just wanted one. And she said, these two brothers will be destroyed tomorrow if you don't take them today. So we've had them now 8 or 9 years, right? The ones with the big black tail. What am I going to do with
Right.
that? Fall in love with them. And they will. And if they pass away before I do, then they will be around because I miss them. And we do miss them. And
Mm-hmm.
I told you that someone I trust told me that when I pass over, a big black dog will be in my world because I used to run with Bonnie, and Bonnie was a 100-pound black lab.
Mm-hmm.
So if I did 10 miles, they would do 20. She and Caesar from next door. And it's amazing. When she died, I was told by the family that she got where she couldn't walk and she spent days underneath the deck. And of course, she wasn't eating and drinking and she had to be put down. And I found myself, excuse me, grieving for an animal that had died a couple of years earlier. It's like I wasn't told. Well, my ex-husband doesn't have to tell me because he was her owner, her master. But I found myself in a state of really grieving because I had such good time. Listen to my voice, such good time with her and
Mm-hmm.
everybody. So if you are grieving, I wonder if I'll feel her now. Um, I've had a lot of people ask about pets, and I've told you stories of people showing up for readings or in events, and they bring their animals with them, the spirit animals, because the animal wants to be acknowledged, but they're there to keep company. And that's how I
Mm-hmm.
end tonight. Okay, 7:34. I did good. Okay, we
You
did it.
did.
Let's
Nailed it. You nailed
nailed
it.
it.
Okay, so Sunday I will be. Excuse me. Whoa. So Sunday, my allergies are so bad. Sunday I will be here reading 6 p.m. Pacific. Monday I'll give you guys an update on Monday, but I think I have a special guest coming in Monday, so it's going to be a cool show. So I'm just waiting for verification on this guest. But anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming today. Let me sit up here. My chair is so old, I think. Um, I want to thank everybody for coming today. And again, if you haven't followed us yet, please be sure to follow us because we're looking for followers. We're looking for subscribers over on Meetup. I'm not Meetup. God, where am I? Over on YouTube. So many of them. And if you follow us over on TikTok, subscribe because I'm going to be doing some real special things with subscribers. They've got a thing now where we can even set it up for a private. Like if I do a live, I can set it up as a private live for my subscribers. Nobody else can come in, so we can talk about all kinds of stuff that we don't normally talk about. Kind of scary stuff. But yeah, we can
Oh
talk about
no,
all kinds of stuff.
I'm waving to the kids in the room. Marissa, thank you. She says she gets 444 a lot. I
Yeah.
don't know what that means. I'd be curious what it means to you. What is four
Yes.
four? What does four represent? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. So yeah, Sunday I'll be reading, and then we have guests scheduled all next week. I got a great show put together for that. So come on and join us. Today was the last day of summer. There is a God, and
Oh,
my world has cooled down substantially. So I'm going to be getting out and doing yard work and all kinds of things because now I can do it without roasting to death. So I'm real excited. But anyway, I want to thank you all for coming tonight. And like I said, if you like the show, share it with 5 people. If you hated the show, share it with 5 of them. Like I said, tell everybody you know about this show because I want to build the subscribers up. I want to keep building the followers up and stuff. Okay. All right. That being said, I'm going to show you Nancy's contact information, and we're going to close it out tonight. So here we go. Too many buttons too.
give us a thumb up, everybody.
Yep. Show us some love. Is that the one or is that the one? That's the one. I got 2 things here. Okay. There it is. Websites, nancymatzpsychic.com. It's all lowercase. nancymatzauthor.com. The N, the M, and the A is capitalized. youtube.com/nancymatzpsychic. The N, the M, and the P is short, is small. Help. Get me out of this funk by Nancy Matz. Two Worlds, Developing Your Psychic Skills by Nancy Matz. And, drumroll, The Unwilling Sacrifice by Nancy Matz. Alrighty, and you of course can check out her website to see those, or get them on Amazon. I will see you guys Sunday, 6 p.m. Pacific. And Nancy, we'll see you next Friday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific. Hopefully
All
I'll
right,
have the
dear.
questions on the computer. Have a great couple days,
Week.
guys. Look, Timothy. Guys. Now you got me doing it. Have a great couple days, guys.